that we could be so much more effective in the way that we do the snow globe by just merely intending it, and that it's just as of January of 2019 that we've had more power within ourselves to do more with our visualizations and whatnot. So I personally get frustrated when the guides change things, because then I feel like what we had before was wrong. But I'm definitely not, and I know that it will frustrate students and it frustrates my dad. But at the same time, what kind of teachers would we be if we were like, no, this way is the only way, this is what it was in 2012, and this is what it will always be. And that's what I kind of feel like, if we're willing to change with changing times, because that's what all we talked about in 2012 was the planet shifting. It's going to be a whole new world in 2012. And what the guides have said is it was a whole new world for 7 years. That's how long that reality took. And the whole new world really kicked in December of 2000, and what's 7 years after 2019.
Okay, but this book was published in 2016.
Yeah, but we were still talking.
They'll update it.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing right now. They're saying that the reason why they're updating it is because we're out of this 7-year trial period where the souls got the opportunity to create in like the astral world what they wanted to. And there was kind of like this reality where we were being able to create whatever we wanted that wasn't really like real yet. But in December of 2019, it got real. And that's, if you guys think about it, that's when COVID came in, right? December 19.
Yeah, I think I had COVID at the end of November.
I think you did too.
Yeah.
That's when Stevie went missing too. Everything happened in November. So yeah, they said that people's thoughts, we had like 7 years to educate people that their thoughts were going to affect them physically. And when December 2019 hit, that's when people's thoughts began to affect them physically, and that's when COVID came and people's negative thoughts were basically killing them. So anyway, I'm just going to set this down. Hopefully people can hear us.
It doesn't take long to read the snow globe, so I don't think we'll go. What time do you have to pick up the kids?
By 5:30.
5:30? Okay, we got 10 till 4, so we should be good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to start on page 24. And just start reading it. It's my own text in this chapter, and then in the next chapter called I Am a Snow Globe, starting on page 26, then we'll start getting into channeling. But anytime the guides or Jesus wants to jump in and add to or delete, please feel free to do that.
Oh, let me say a prayer real quick. So
say a prayer, protect the house.
Jesus just came in and he says, oh, that's not Jesus, that's the one that talks big. I am forlorn. I am forlorn at the fact that we even have to ask for protection still, but we do. So Jesus says, as we step into this energy today, we bring unto you a protection, an energy, a frequency that will bring all of you up above duality, up above the mess that the earth has become. And we allow you now to pray. And we allow you now to pray. Oh, he rose me up before I even prayed. Okay, so we just ask God, the Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, to raise us up, to protect us, that any cords or attachments that we have connected to anyone that will be listening to this before, later, now, be disconnected from me now, that my ego, my logic step aside, and the greater part that's me, my higher self, all of my guides, all of the helpers that I came down here with, all of Papa's guides, kind of merge together as one gatekeeper that I can channel and communicate with very, 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 very clearly. And I'm just asking, please, guides, help my mind stay out of this, because my mind is opinionated about this, and I don't want my mind in this. Just ask that you bring protection to the kids, that their energy isn't connected to any of the energies that are in here, and if there's any spirits, any loved ones that have passed, we just ask you guys to please step out of our field. We love you, but opinions, you know what they say about opinions. There's all these loved ones coming in. And we ask that the entire house be filled with light, become a snow globe, and fill it with light, and just keep us light. Amen. Keep us light. I like that. A snow globe just came out from underneath the earth and went boom and knocked everything out. Gary's here. Cool. Gary died right around now, huh?
I don't know when Gary died. I thought it was in June.
I thought it was March or April. Oh, his birthday was now.
His birthday's in March. I thought
March
he passed
16.
away in June of 20.
He has like a party hat on with like a little like
2014, I think.
Yeah, I have the tape from when he came in and lit Stevie's tail on fire.
Yeah.
He's over there with a party hat on with like a little like whistle thing. He came down for his birthday. He was March 16th, he said. When he died.
I think it is.
Huh, interesting. Anyways, he's standing outside, so he's not affecting it.
Okay, so I'm just going to read starting on page 24. And this is entitled, What is the Snow Globe and How Do I Put It to Work? My dad and I were sitting in the living room getting ready to do yet another channeling session where I would go into trance and he would ask questions of Jesus, Abraham, Peter, Michael, and the rest of the quote-unquote crew that would tend to show up when we would call in the beings best suited and the safest to talk to when asking questions about universal truths and ancient knowledge. The books we were working on at the time are the Bible Speaks series, which I begrudgingly agreed to do. Once again, this is Marissa. Which I begrudgingly agreed to do mostly to make my dad happy. Looking back, I am happy. I am happy I caved in and worked on those books because everything that I know now has come from the hundreds and hundreds of hours that we spent talking to the so-called authors of the Bible, and many more, including Jesus and Mary, and of course, our higher selves. My dad said that he had felt like someone was telling him to write a book about the snow globe when he was driving over, and interestingly enough, I had been thinking about making a little manual to teach new students how to use the snow globe to develop their abilities and heal themselves. That was all my dad had to say to get me, in all caps, super excited. The snow globe is the, in all caps, best thing that ever happened to me. The snow globe has protected me, it has helped me to teach, and most importantly, it has helped me to see energy. All capital letters, see energy, when I could only hear it before I started working with the snow globe. I realize this sounds crazy, however, the crazier the better sometimes. When something defies all logic and the imagination is, all caps, forced to take over, that is when we can really begin to hear, see, and feel the invisible guidance that each and every human being has on this planet. The following is the channeled session me and my dad had. Jesus is me and my dad's shared guide, and pretty much the only being my dad, being a Christian, would trust throughout the creation of our books. So as always, he showed up to deliver the information. Now Peter, who was his usual goofy and fun-loving, yet wisdom-filled self, was there along with Mary Magdalene, who didn't share much that day, but explained that she came to watch. In addition to those two here were lots of people, quote-unquote people, from above, including mine and my dad's higher selves, who joined in to watch the session, but for the most part, this was all Jesus. We had been given an outline to follow in a previous session, so we covered a few topics on how to use the snow globe and for what purposes, such as relationships, work, and the manifestation of the things we desire in our lives. It's the end of that chapter. Next chapter, starting on page 26.
Okay, good. Start reading. Let me turn everything around.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking at all that. We've got a guide keeps calling herself Michaela, and I'm like, is that an attachment or whatever? But it's like this really flowy hand, and I see Michael up there, but then I see it almost like the divine feminine version of Michael as being Michaela or something like that. And I keep going like, who are you? Who are you? But it's just a hand going like this, like a wave almost. You know, you show like a wave, like the waves. So I think it's a wave pattern or something that I'm communicating with, a frequency.
Okay, this chapter is entitled, I Am, all in caps, I Am a Snow Globe. And in parentheses, the snow globe recording with Jesus was originally done April 30th, 2016. So almost exactly 5 years ago.
Wait, so that was the first time I told you about the snow globe?
No, this was from our first recording.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, we would record and then I would transcribe it.
Yeah.
And then we would reread it.
But the snow globe, you were doing the snow globe back in 2012. I mean, I told you.
Oh, yeah, it was way back in 2012. But for the rereading of this was April 30th, 2016, 5 years ago.
Okay, because that's technically the second snow globe. And the other one, they want us to call it the New World Edition. And I was like, no, I'm not going to call it the New World Edition. That sounds weird. But anyways, we can argue about the topic later, the title later.
All right, and this is where our channeling took place, and this is Marissa. Marissa says, Peter and Jesus are here. Our higher selves are here, as are Adam, and our highest level shared guide, Michael. Noah is here also.
Wait, whoa! Adam looks like a who's here? Let me call him.
It's Peter and Jesus.
Peter and Jesus are big, and they're standing here like two big souls.
And then our higher selves are here.
Our higher selves are next to them.
And then Adam.
Adam looks like a lightning bolt, just like a stick, a line, and there, like it's just a big, huge lightning bolt. That's interesting. I've never seen him like that before.
And then our highest level shared guide, Michael.
And then I see Michael over there with his hand coming in, Michaela. That's weird.
Also, Noah is here also. And
Noah's
then you say,
in the
I think Noah is a layer of your higher self. Noah is saying, I am Big Joe. I am also an ascended master.
He's your soul.
Noah's my soul, but he's also an ascended master.
But I thought he was fallen because he's laying down, but you're laying down.
Probably.
Well, no, I said he's fallen, he's laying down, and then I thought, oh wait, no, he's laying down, yeah, you're laying in him.
Okay, and this is Jesus responding. Jesus says, yes, my brother, you have been doing your work. You have been doing your work, and in doing this, you are ascending. You're moving in line with all aspects of yourself. And for this, we are very, very proud. But what you must understand is even by just clearing out your snow globe every day, there are things that will be missed. This is why we are so excited about this book. Because although it seems simple, and although it seems like things that we have already talked about before, there are things that you will soon forget. Because we will get into other more complicated things. And then it won't be as exciting for the two of you to put into this new book. We want to memorialize this teaching because the snow globe will change the world. Then I jumped in, and this is Joe. It's going to be simple. I use the snow globe all the time. I tell people, look, it's really simple. Marissa, what Jesus is saying, he says, and then here's Jesus. What we would like to say, boy, you used to say that all the time.
I know. They just so much just said it again, too.
What we would like to say is that the snow globe, although it is just a visualization of a common, ordinary snow globe, is attached to the idea that it symbolizes your entire energy field. We do not need to be specific about which layers of the aura are in the snow globe and which layers are not in the snow globe, just where the consciousness is. We do not need to be specific about any of this. All we must do is say today, right here, right now, set the intentions that the snow globe that we speak of in here is an all-encompassing field of energy surrounding all layers of a human being. So when someone is calling in...
They wanted to add something in here real quick.
Okay.
And so it's funny because Jesus is here and Peter. I think they say what we'd like to say is because it's all three of them. It's the higher selves, Jesus, and then Peter's kind of standing next to him. Why is Peter standing? Anyways. Okay, they said, so what we would like to say is that when saying all layers of a human being, people do not understand that the human being is the highest state of consciousness they can get to now because the human being is the soul. Prior to, when writing this book, there was the soul, and then there was man or woman. And the man or the woman was trying desperately to reach out, become their soul, to connect to their soul, to align with their soul, to know their soul. But now everyone's consciousness, if everyone's consciousness was a marble, let's just say you're a marble, Joe. You're a marble. And that's you. And that's a little piece off a big, huge marble in the sky. That marble is going to be tink, 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 moving around inside of a little tin can that's a human being. And then the soul is like the real, fully evolved human that can live forever, that never dies, because human beings can live beyond the years that they live. What happens is you are the marble, but you're all knowing, but you're stuck inside this little tin can. So as you connected to your soul, you would still say from your tin can, hey soul, show me what to do and tell me what to do. Whereby in December of 2019, everybody's little marble was pushed into their soul. So they were moved into their soul and the tin can went away. Those that were not allowed themselves to leave the tin can died. So everyone is their soul now. The human is in essence pretty much gone. Or not human, the man or woman is gone. The flesh is gone. So we are living in a soul world. We are in the soul plane now. It doesn't mean that we've died. It just means that we are that marble and we're now inside of the soul. And we're still in a movie, so to speak. But some people are evolving and growing, and that's why we want to teach people how to truly manifest what they want to manifest using the snow globe as a manifestation tool and a tool that will guide them and lead them in their life and give them yes/no answers and help them to navigate their life, because souls are making very poor decisions at this point. Or in the terminology we've used, let's just call this the oversoul. The oversoul. So people have become their oversoul and they still think that they're just this little tin can and that they are just being kicked around and pushed around by the wind and by the world and by the earth, when in reality they have so much power to heal themselves, to heal others, and to really be anything they want to be. And it's a lot of responsibility to actually admit or even believe this, because it scares most human beings. It scares both of you to think, all the thoughts that I don't know that are going through my head are actually dictating what my life is. Oh, great. Oh, no, I'm not good enough for that. So that's one thing that we want to work on with readers of the book, on how to release negative thoughts, release negative emotions, release negative feelings, release others' thoughts about them. It's going to be quite fun indeed, because those that get their hands on this book are going to be those that are quite powerful indeed, and they will be able to change their lives and that of many around them. And this is why we have said that the snow globe will change the world. Because it will. And then they stopped.
Okay, Jesus continues on. So, when someone is calling in the golden liquid Christ light energy from above, the white light from the Creator, and silver light from their Creator self, or the I Am, they are clearing out all layers of their mental, emotional, and spiritual body. Prior to this, it was set that the snow globe was just the spirit realm around the physical body. We are changing it to simplify and also make the healing more effective and multidimensional in nature. And then I cut in and said, okay, first thing is, how does a person visualize the snow globe?
Okay, I just want to cut in real quick. They're saying the gold is the only thing that transmutes aluminum and the heavy metals in a physical body, and that's why we use tin can as the old body, because the old body was metallic in nature. The bones are made of metal. The body's made of a lot of metallic-like substances, and you have metals all in your body. Gold transmuted that so that the marble could escape from that and go into the soul. So with the snow globe, if you use gold, it'll still work, but it's going to work best if people just imagine God energy or creator energy coming down in any color that they want to visualize it, because now they don't necessarily need the gold. But we'll put it in a step-by-step process later on so that people can understand it. They're showing platinum, like titanium, or what's that color? It's like so white, it's bright, it's like a liquid metal. What metal is this?
Well, it does say, Jesus said, and platinum. Silver light from their Creator self.
They're calling it platinum gold now. It's like a platinum gold. They're calling it platinum, palladium, titanium. They're all these like higher metals. The other one's like silvers and silver, copper. All those things were of the old world, and gold transmuted all of those and dissolved them away. And that's why the Anunnaki and all of the beings from other worlds wanted gold, because it helped to dissolve that old tin can body and bring them into a higher state of consciousness. But we don't need to put that in the book. They just wanted to share that tidbit with you.
Okay.
And Rosemary could just share that little tidbit with him. But she says that doesn't need to be in the book about the Anunnaki, because then that just takes the focus off of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and we've got a book on the Anunnaki and the book
Yeah.
of Enoch. Okay, I jumped in and said, okay, first thing is, how does a person visualize a snow globe? What do they ask for from Jesus to set up their protective snow globe? And Jesus came in and says, first of all, the person does not need to ask me, Jesus. They do not need to ask anyone. They can ask Source, the Creator self within, or the divine white light in general, but all they really need is to, quote unquote, ask their own mind. Through their mind's imagination, all they must do is ask to see themselves and the field around them as a snow globe. All they must do is say in their mind, I am a snow globe. They may imagine that they are the statue inside of the snow globe. They may imagine that the water and snowflakes are the energy in the field around the physical body, and that the glass is the outside of the quote-unquote personal bubble or the aura. You may imagine how far out from your body or how big your snow globe is. Some days it may be 30 feet in diameter. Some days it may be 2 feet. Some days it may be 5 feet. All the person must do is use their mind within their brain to imagine the snow globe around them. Once they imagine what this looks like, then they must imagine what the statue, in parentheses, which represents the physical body, looks or feels like. Jesus continues.
He said, hold on, one thing that we would like to overemphasize is to not create a structure of a snow globe within your mind that you're trying to see around, but allow it to be different every single time. In fact, we can change it. If I was a snow globe, what would I look like? If we need to change it to that instead of I am now a snow globe. Like, if I was a snow globe right this second, what would I look like? And the person may imagine that half of the snow globe is cut in half, or half of it is missing, or there's no glass at all. And that will mean they're pretty much that they're not in their body and they need to pull themselves back into it. But it should be able to be different every single time. And this is the biggest mistake that we made in not overemphasizing this in the beginning, that we said use your imagination because everyone was having a hard time imagining things or couldn't even imagine it. So we said just imagine yourself as a snow globe. But in the way that this healing works, you need to be open to see yourself different because your field changes all the time. What if you're connected to a lover or a spouse or a friend or a child? Your snow globe, half of it may be missing because half of you may be over there helping them in their field because you're now souls and you're nowhere and everywhere at the same time. So if I was a snow globe right now, what would I look like? This channel looks and she has a metal rod sticking through the snow globe that she's never seen before. So that's like, better call in the light from above to shift and change this. The metal rod flies away and she becomes a perfect snow globe. So the snow globes are going to change. Everything's going to change. And there's many, over 100,000 people have read this book. Over 100,000 people do this technique. Over 100,000 people tell others to do the technique and they do the technique. 200,000 people do the technique wrong because they imagine this little snow globe that they imagine in their head and they say, I'm now a snow globe, and they imagine that same snow globe every single time. And that's not necessarily doing the healing that they need healed because they're creating a bubble around themselves. And that does work for protection where you can protect yourself, imagine a bubble around you. But the amount of healing that can be done gets completely stipend at that point. So allow yourself to look different each time and even allow that there's no glass there. Just know and understand that once you call in this light from above, you'll be exactly what you need to be, where you need to be, and what you need to be. And just trust it.
And then, of course, they need to determine what size it is. I always just kind of picture a snow globe as an aura, as an impenetrable aura, so darkness cannot get in. and I'm protected. It's like floating around in a bubble, or which is my aura.
And this is exactly what we are going to say. We wanted to call the new snow globe book Snow Globe, a bubble, or a circle, because there's different ways to determine this, because some people don't even have glass around theirs, so to speak. They don't have an end to their aura. Like we said, some people have ascended beyond the point where their aura doesn't end. They're just everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And Joe, you're one of those where sometimes you won't see the end of your energy, but if there's all light, nothing can get you, because darkness can't exist in light. So it can just be light far, far out from you where there is no end to it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's why your aura always seems so big. I did that healing on you. We don't need to transcribe this, but I did that healing on you, and all your chakras were like perfect. I was like, whatever. I do healing on myself every day, and yours were perfect. Okay.
Okay, Jesus continues, and let me back up one sentence. All the person must do is use their mind within their brain to imagine this snow globe around them. Once they imagine what this looks like, then they must imagine what the statue, which represents the physical body, looks or feels like. Then they may take their attention to what the snowflakes floating around the statue within the snow globe feel like to them at that particular moment. Do they feel heavy? Do they feel light? Do they feel dark? Do they feel white? Does the water feel clean? Does it feel goopy? Does it feel dirty? Just by them taking their attention to their mind and imagining this, what they are in fact doing is bringing their consciousness and their awareness into their human mind, into the center of the mind where the pineal gland is. And they are able to see or, quote unquote, imagine the snow globe around them. Using this technique will allow them to think that they are imagining this, when in fact they are really seeing the energy on their body, on the statue. The snowflakes, which is the energy in their aura, the snow globe, and the light within them, their spirit, with their third eye.
Repeat that last part, the spirit, that what was before that?
Using this technique will allow them to think that they are imagining this, when in fact they are really seeing the energy on their body, and in parentheses the statue. The snowflakes, and in parentheses, snowflakes are the energy in their aura, which is the snow globe, and the light within them, which is their spirit, with their third eye. When we tell people to try to look at something with their third eye, they say, I cannot do that. I am not psychic. And what is a third eye anyway? So we would like to stick with, quote unquote, imagine this or feel this. But they must also imagine or feel the details. They must imagine, what does their statue look or feel like right now? What does the glass look or feel like right now? Is it dirty? Is it clean? What does it feel like? This is how they begin to imagine it, or in other words, quote unquote, tune into their energy, end quote. An alternate way of doing this, Jesus continues, an alternate way of doing this is to say, I am a snow globe, and imagine that there is a snow globe on a table in front of you. What does the snow globe look like? What color is it? What does the statue look like? What color are the snowflakes? Is the water clean? Is it clear or dirty? Is it goopy? Just imagine what it looks like, and as the light directly from above, all in caps, directly from above comes down and cleans the snow globe, it will be just as effective as if you were imagining yourself in it. However, as you get more used to doing this, imagine yourself inside will make all of the manifestation exercise and all other techniques we in this channel teach much more accurate, because you'll be able to see up close what is there. It will be just as accurate as if you were imagining you were in the snow globe. That was the end of Jesus. The next chapter.
They wanted to say that Peter goes, don't forget. He says, the statue is the ego. So it's human personality, the ego. And many people have transcended the ego but will fall into it. So he's saying if you're imagining yourself as a snow globe and you're a statue, then likely you're down in your lower states of consciousness, your emotions are swirling around you, you're being dictated and you're being driven by your emotions. So when you get mad, that you probably will be able to imagine yourself as this little snow globe. But if you can't do it, you can imagine just, I am my soul now, and imagine the snow globe in your hand. And then to say that snow globe now represents the mood I'm in right now or whatever I'm dealing with right now, and then clear it that way. Because Peter says, people have tried, and I'm always there because he says he's the co-maker of the snow globe. So Peter and Jesus' energy always go in when people do the snow globe, and they're the ones clearing it, along with the Christ energy, and then I see the Holy Spirit energy coming in, and the earth energy. So anytime anyone does a snow globe, that's their energy goes whoop and shows up, and they're clearing them. But he says that it's very hard for people to imagine or even do the snow globe exercise when they're angry because they don't think to do it. And then when they try, they can't clear themselves because they can't get in a state to do that. So he says you can always ask your higher self to do the snow globe for you. So you can say, higher self, I am so frustrated right now. I just want to just like strangle everyone. Can you please do the snow globe for me right now? And just let your higher self do it. And before you know it, you'll feel just enough better to be able to just say, if I was a snow globe right now, what would I look like? And clear yourself. He says that the higher self can do the snow globe for us.
Well, as usual, they're always one step ahead of us. They start talking about what we're going to read about next.
Of course.
So the next chapter, which is on page 31, is entitled Connect to the Higher Self.
It's funny.
And then I interceded. I said, this is Joe. So, before they ask for the Christ light or source to come into the crown chakra of the statue inside the snow globe, do they also visualize that they have set up their snow globe with all the darkness and the stress and the cords and everything else that have caused them to come to ask for the snow globe? Or do they visualize it as clean? If they visualize it as goopy, do they then visualize the light as it comes in so that this incoming light will blow all the darkness away? Should they picture the darkness inside their snow globe as well, prior to asking for source to bring in the energy to blow it all away? And here's Jesus' answer. He said, yes. And the magical thing about this, the magical thing about the encryption, so to speak, that we're putting into this book is that by people just imagining their snow globe around them and looking to see what their snow globe looks like, in their imagination, one day they may see themselves as a horse in the middle, a beautiful decorated horse. And they may see their snow globe as being 50 feet wide, and it is sparkly white. There is no muck, there is no dirt in it. Other days it may be covered in goop, and there may be a tiny little gremlin statue in the middle, or they may see themselves as the statue with a little gremlin on the statue. They must just allow their imagination, quote unquote imagination, to run wild, so to speak, based on what their energy is like, and the way that their brain reads the energy is how they will imagine the snow globe at that particular time. So they do not need to put any dirt within it. But if they imagine the snow globe and the dirt is there, it is because they have energies that need to be cleaned. With the snow globe visualization, we are asking the imagination to become a magical tool in healing and manifestation as a human. Jesus goes on. So just know that if somebody has emotional cords and dirt in their snow globe, they will just, quote unquote, magically imagine that it is there. And what we must say is many people will say, quoting, I must just be imagining this. I must just be making this up, end quote. And what we must say is, why would you be making this up over anything else? Why would you be making it up? The grand thing about this snow globe and the encryption that we're putting into this book is that there are no expectations of anything. Somebody isn't actually visualizing themselves. They're not actually visualizing their chakras. They're not actually visualizing layers of their body and aura. They are visualizing a snow globe with no attachment to what appears in their mind. Because of this, they will accurately see what is in their field. And then I jumped in and said, the first topic are the cords, the attachments, and the spirit. Here's Jesus. Well, first we must teach how to connect with the higher self, connect with the Christ light, so that, and I jumped in, after the snow globe has been established, Jesus, after it's visualized, yes. Once one has visualized and seen what the snow globe looks like, what they must do is take their attention to just above the solar plexus and below the heart. So, the bottom of the ribs, in between the ribs, this is where the spirit resides in the physical body. This is where your spirit burns bright. One can take their awareness or their focus to this area and see or sometimes feel this bubble of light within their statue. Some days this bubble of light may be very bright and big. Some days it may be very dim and small. Some days it may almost be non-existent. What one must do is imagine that a big, huge, bright light from above, the snow globe, is shooting in from the top of it, down into the bubble that is inside the statue. Like a laser beam, I said? Jesus, yes, a laser beam is one way to see it. Some see a waterfall. This channel sees a beautiful, bright, crystalline, mercury-like liquid. What many may see this as is another bright snow globe way up above them, dropping down to about 6 feet above their space. This upper snow globe representing the statue's higher self, the creator soul, which will send energy that could look like a laser beam down into their snow globe, down into the statue, and into the seat of their soul, or in other words, the bubble between their ribs. All they must do is just watch as the white laser beam of light or light fills up their spirit bubble and begins to grow, and it grows the bubble out. And as if it's growing out, it's pushing out all of the negative energy, all of the negative emotions, all the negative feelings and experiences, all of the negativity that is within that person's snow globe, and releasing it from their space. Sometimes it will take 1 minute. Sometimes it will take somebody 20 minutes to watch as this laser beam of white energy fills up their bubble and pushes out until the light becomes the same size as their snow globe. Once this is done, then they're done with a basic connecting with their creator, filling themselves with the light of their creator and pushing out the energies that are not for their highest and best good. That's the end of that chapter. Next chapter, emotions are contagious. And Jesus goes on. These include energies that belong to other people. And when we say energy, we mean floating emotions. Energy is just simply emotions. And these emotions get stuck to people. If somebody has never dealt with anger, they do not have defense mechanisms for anger. So if they're at the grocery store and they get somebody's anger within their snow globe, they may have an anxiety attack and wonder why they are having an anxiety attack. It's because something that the person next to them very easily deals with, because they have defense mechanisms. So it is not bothering them, but gets into their snow globe, and now they are having a panic attack. Or they don't have a panic attack and they just go home with this anger energy in their snow globe, and they begin to take the anger out on their children, or their wife, or their husband, or their co-workers. They begin to act out this anger, because every human being is a product of the snowflakes that are around them. And I jumped in. That was Jesus. And I said, well then, if I, Joe, visualize my snow globe, and then I visualize my big Joe, or my soul, 6 feet above me in another snow globe, and I see this big beam of magnificent light coming through the snow globe into my solar plexus, lighting up the Holy Spirit within me, which blows out all the negativity that has been attached to me. And then I go out into the world and go to work, or I go see my girlfriend or whoever it is I am with. It would seem to me that I'm protected from that negative energy. And Jesus responds, yes, absolutely, you are. And I said, but how does the negative energy reattach, and how often should we be reestablishing the snow globe and the attachment to our soul? Next chapter. And Jesus answers. This starts on page 37. Actually, it's Peter and Mary.
You have something to say, but I'm going to see what they say first.
Okay, this is Peter and Mary, and this is describing the guides discuss frequency.
Okay,
and once again, I asked, if I've already protected myself, how am I all of a sudden getting this goop in me? And do I need to protect myself once I feel this goop come into me? And this is where they answer. They say the guides discuss frequency. And this is Peter and Mary. And jump in anytime you want.
Well, I want to jump in right now. They're saying that the snow globe, it's almost like they're showing me pictures, and that's when it drives me crazy, because it's like I want to draw. But they're saying, imagine your consciousness is one thing, and it's the creator of everything in your life. That is its own like perfect snow globe right now. So we can use our own consciousness. Before, when we do the snow globe, just picture our God self up above pouring out all the light down on us to heal us. But now that we are that God consciousness, we can actually use the light from within us to expand out and push everything out. We don't have to call anything in anymore. We can just visualize, find that light inside. Like they say, we talk about the light inside that burns strong, that will never go out, but it gets covered by goop. You have to find the light within you, wherever it may be within you, and then just allow it to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it blasts everything away. Because everything that you're calling in for in these books prior, because this is how it was before, was outside of you. Because you were the little tin can that didn't have anything. You were a marble inside of a tin can, and you had a little piece of light in there keeping you alive. But now that you're out of there and you're in a greater piece of yourself, everything that you would call in before is already inside of you. You just need to call it forward. So call all of your light forward. Call all of yourself back, because pieces of you. Picture a snow globe. And the second you leave your body, you turn into a little snow globe, and you go into your wife's snow globe, or you go into your child, because you're trying to bring them wisdom, because you're that marble that has all that wisdom. You're trying to bring them information. You're trying to help them. You're trying to heal them. So you have all these little pieces of you scattered throughout the world. So when you do the snow globe, say, if I was a snow globe, what would I look like, and where is my light inside of me? Take me into my light. And then just call all of you back to you. And as you call all of the pieces back to you, your light will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're healed. So you really have the capacity to heal yourself with what's inside of you. But what happens is people, healers especially, give their light away to other people. And this is happening right now on a very high scale, because people have given their light away, or they don't believe that they're light. So they're in this little empty, dark little snow globe with no light in it, and they've given it away to other people, or the dark side's taken it. But we won't get into the dark side right now.
That seems like I'm picturing they're trapped in their snow globe.
They're trapped, yes. That's
trapped into the darkness. They don't know how to get rid of all the dirty water around them and all the flakes.
Exactly, and they're calling in light from above them, but the light's not above them anymore. It's over in their light that they've given away. So there's some people that actually are getting more claustrophobic from trying to do the snow globe, and that's why we wanted to update this and let them know that they are the light. They are that marble that's filled with light, and they need to say, if they have to say, I am light, and I am now in the center of my snow globe, what do I look like? They can do that, because people are missing their light and they're giving it away. There's people that are actually saying prayers to us saying, I will take on that person's cancer, just let them live. And they're giving their light away. And then they're dying. They're dying inside emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. and then the person that's dying, they can't take someone else's light. They can't live for that long on it. So there's people that are praying the most very, very strange prayers for the last year or so, and it's hurting them. It's hurting them, and people feel that they need to be a martyr. Let me just give my soul to somebody or give my light to somebody. They can't do that, but their mind will then think that they don't have any light inside, and they'll end up in that old little tin can. And that's why a lot of people are living in the past, because the second they watch the media, they get into fear. They get all wrapped up in what's going on in the world. They fall into their tin can, and that tin can has no light in it anymore. There's no way to have light if you're in your old little tin can. And that's how people are getting sick and dying. That's kind of scary.
Well, let's see what Peter and Mary have to say about the guides discuss frequency. Again, I had asked, well, if I protected myself with the snow globe, how can other energy get inside my snow globe? And I asked, am I actually protected? And Jesus said, yes, absolutely you are. And then I said, but how does the negative energy reattach, and how often should we be reestablishing the snow globe and the attachment to our soul? And that's where Peter and Mary jump in. They say, once a day connecting with your soul is good enough. You do not have to go through a full process of watching the energy come in. If you forget to do this and you're driving to work, you can call in the energy of your creator into your snow globe and just say, hey, let's do this. Help me today. Because remember, you have to invite your guides. You have to invite your guardians in. You have to invite your masters in order for them to be able to help you. What many don't understand is that you may ask for protection, and when you ask for protection, well, let's look at this in numbers. Let us just say that source energy exists at 100,000 megahertz. Let us just say, okay, now this is Jesus now. It was Peter and Mary before, now it's Jesus. He always comes in with the simple things.
Yeah.
Here's Jesus. Let us just say that source energy, or the light of all creation that has created all of us, exists at 100,000 megahertz. This is the source of all creation and is emitting its light upon all of its creations. Then let us just say that a human being's physical body exists at, let's say, 100 megahertz. So this is a very dense frequency. Human emotions exist under 100, and they will get into your snow globe, and they will make the physical body sick because they're bringing the frequency down even lower, When one calls in the source energy into the snow globe, this 100,000 megahertz light that is being emitted from the creator of all creation is coming down through your creator self, your soul's snow globe. And let's just say that your creator self has a 1,000 megahertz, so that when it comes down into your field, the light melts away all the low frequencies. So as with anything, if something is going very, very fast next to something that is very, very slow, the very, very slow spinning thing is going to speed up so that it will start going the same speed as the fast thing. Or the fast thing will slow down to meet the slow thing halfway through. But the energy of your creator soul, 1,000 megahertz, is withstanding. It never changes. So it's always holding itself at 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So when you call this into you, it holds its energy up very high and pulls your frequency or pulls your vibration up. Everybody always speaks of raise your vibration, raise your vibration, raise your vibration. This is what this speaks of. It is the calling in of a higher vibration into your snow globe so that the lower things go away. Now, if you were to go with your girlfriend and your girlfriend has a frequency, let's say of 25, because there is anger, perhaps she has cords attached to other snow globes that belong to other people, like, say, her daughter, who has a frequency level of 11. She then will have a snow globe that has a spiritual credit score of 11, even though she is at 25. This 11 is like a trade line weighing her down. So now she is a lower frequency, and because the two of you are connecting with a cord between your snow globes, you can sometimes get some of her energy if your energy is not protected. As long as your frequency is higher than hers, you will not take on any of her energy. But let us just say that she says something to provoke you, or make you mad, or somebody cuts you off on the freeway, or somebody does something to make you very upset, and you drop below her frequency. Then all of her stuff will start coming into your snow globe, even though you had asked for protection. It's because you are now down in the lower astral plane. We speak of the spiritual credit score much in this channel's classes, and we have channeled much information for a book that will be called What is Your Spiritual Credit Score? Which we have done. You did it with Bill. And we do not want to include this in this book, but what we would like to include in this is different levels of consciousness.
They're just going to say that, and I stopped them because I heard Mary say, shh, they're going to cover it.
You're right. This is different levels of consciousness. Say 1 through 10.
I was just going to say 1 through 10. But I was thinking, I thought it was 1 through 12 or 1 through 7, but yeah, I say 1 through 10.
So if you're at 5, your girlfriend is at 3, she may pull you down to 4. But if you're calling in and connecting in with your creator self, you will be able to stay at 5. She is at 3. So most likely you will end up healing her and bringing her up to 5. So a lot of her stuff will get healed just by you being around her. And this is why we love this book so much. Because what we're going to be doing is we are going to be teaching people to raise their vibrations using their creator self. Not the creator, not God. We can say the Christ light if you like, but it is the creator that created the soul that is in us. This is a high enough frequency to sustain a much higher conscious level of human beings. So if even 5% of the planet began to fill their snow globe with the light of their creator self, they would begin healing all of their family members that were not doing this. They would begin healing their coworkers that were not doing this because their frequency is higher. And just the mere fact that they are next to somebody, they're going to be raising that person's vibration. That is why this book is so beautiful indeed. And this is the book that we've been speaking of that will be a bestseller. Joe. Well, if I, Joe, set up my snow globe, I've cleaned it out, and now it's crystal clear, and I've got nice white flakes floating down, no more black flakes, or no crud on the bottom of the snow globe, and I am clean as a whistle. But now I'm heading out to work, and I've got a boss, and I got co-workers who are just nasty individuals, and every time I walk in the front door to go to work, I just feel like I've got crud all over me, and I immediately turn into a bad mood. How can I overcome that short of quitting my job and going and finding another? Which maybe that's what you're telling me to do, but how do I retain that light? How do I retain that exalted energy that I've used to clean out my snow globe when I'm around all this crud that is just driving me nuts? And Marissa jumps in and says, Peter says, let's all quit our jobs. And he put a Tommy Bahama shirt on. He just threw a hammock over his shoulder and said, let's all quit our jobs. And then I jumped in and I said, no, that's not the right answer. You've still got to pay your rent. You still have to buy food. You still have to pay for the car. You still got to pay for the babysitter. And you still have to pay for this and pay for that. And Marissa jumps in and says, Peter's like, all right. That is so funny. Jesus is huge today. This is Marissa speaking. And Rosemary is here. Rosemary's like, look at my snow globe. I'm a carousel.
I just saw her spinning. She's spinning.
And she has a little carousel on the inside. It's playing music, and she's like dancing around in circles. And then in parentheses, I've got Rosemary as a central figure in our conversations books from the Bible Speak series. Basically, she was a close friend of Mary, the sister of Lazarus, but also quite a Jesus groupie. And she acts and talks like a valley girl. Joe. So when your snow globe walks into this darkness of your job, how do you retain that light? How do you retain that beautiful energy?
They just kicked me. I just went like this.
What did they kick you for?
They kicked me. Why did you just kick me?
They
said,
were you falling asleep?
No. If I fall asleep, I go like that. Someone literally, who just kicked me? It was Rosemary.
Probably.
She said, I wanted to say something. The reason why it was a carousel is because she says, sometimes you just have to act like a little kid when you're doing the snow globe. And some people are just so serious. And I think he's right. I think we all should quit our jobs. And I said, no, we shouldn't. She says, if it's a job and you look at it like a job, you shouldn't do it. And I said, well, that's very bad advice to give in a world like this because people are losing their jobs and they should be grateful for their jobs. And she says, then just call it what you do that pays you money. Don't call it a job. She's saying that jobs are like the word job is like a low frequency.
Oh, okay.
Like I got to go to my job or I got to go to work. It's just like, okay, I just got to go do what I do. And she's very, very against the word job. But she says she says to get in a childlike nature before you do the snow globe and to call in you can call in the pieces of you like your joy guides and the guides that cheer you up before you do it because you have to be in a fun-loving mood when you do it. Otherwise it doesn't really clear you as much.
Well, what they've already said is that when you're setting up the snow globe, the last thing you're going to do is bring down the white light from maybe your soul's snow globe, which is just above you. But when you're setting up the snow globe, you need to be calling in your guides. Yeah. So you need to call in who you think are your guides that will help you through that day.
And she says your soul guides. She says it's very different. She says there's a lot of guides that are outdated. A lot of guides that were in charge of that tin can. When your consciousness was stuck in that little tin can, it was just kind of rattling around. There were a lot of kick. She says it's like they were kicking the can. She kicked me. Again, I could feel it. That's so weird. She says, but now that you're your soul, you have a set of guides that are different. And the guides are all standing around you at all times, but they can't help you unless you ask for help. And there's soon going to be a point where we've released our soul's story, and that's the next big shift in the planet in like 8 years, but that's a long time from now. But she says that everyone's going to be releasing their soul and freeing their soul because the whole point of being here is to free the souls from this repetitive story that they keep living over and over and over and over and over. But she says she's part of the story and that's why she's here. But she says just try and pretend and act like you're having fun when you're doing the snow globe because she says that's how it works for me. And then she goes, look at him. He's hot. She's pointing at Jesus again.
She likes Jesus.
She has such a big crush on him.
That's funny. Okay, so I jumped in. I said, so when your snow globe walks, and I'm on page 41. So when your snow globe walks into this darkness of your job, how do you retain that light? How do you retain that beautiful energy that you had before you walked into that mess? And this ties into relationships as well. Jobs and relationships. And here's Jesus. Well, let us just say this. If somebody is not affected emotionally, their energy will not be open for others' energy to get into them. So this is why many people that are emotionally shut down are not affected by other people's energy around them. You can look at them and there can be chaos and it won't even faze them because they are emotionally shut down.
Those are the narcissists.
People do this for many reasons. Either they were very sensitive as a child, so they shut down because it was not comfortable, or their soul chose that they were not going to be a sensitive individual. Let us rewind very quick so we can bring an understanding to the different frequencies of human beings, and also just bring a very quick understanding to those who want to understand with someone like you, Joe, as an empathic person, you can feel other people's emotions. For we have talked in the past books about the two 12-story buildings. We have the one building that has a 3 on it, and it represents the third dimension, the physical. And one 12-story building right next to it that has a 4 on it and represents the fourth dimension, or the astral plane. If our consciousness or our awareness stays grounded within building 3, we cannot feel anything that is in building 4, which is the spirit world, the dream world, the emotions, the feelings, the memories, etc. And then I jumped in. Wait a minute, I thought we were one building and there were lower, not separate buildings. I picture myself as a 12-story building with all these floors. I've got 12 floors. But inside each floor are lots of rooms, which are different parts of my existence and my experiences. So we've got to keep it simple here. Marissa, it is simple. Joe, well, people who have never read anything that we've ever written are going to go, what the heck are they talking about? And that moves us to the next chapter.
Do they go into what the 2 buildings are? Because that's what they want to talk about right now.
They can talk about the 2 12-story buildings.
So the 2 tools, this is Jesus, and then my higher self, your higher self, and I think, Christ.
Good.
So Christ is here. He says, I am that I am. I am that I am that lies within inside of you. I am that I am that is within every living Christ being, meaning every being that was created for me, by me, and that I am that consciousness that lies within you. The 12-story buildings, yes, you can look at them as being in different floors, different levels, with different emotions, which is the way that you see this, Joe. But in the example we were giving, we were saying one has a 3 on it and one has a 4. These are different perspectives of the way of looking at life. So a three-dimensional way of looking at it is looking at it from only your perspective, only your way, only what you know, and with the varying emotions. If you're in a very high, elated, spiritual mood, you'll be up in a higher floor. So you'll be affected by less of your old negative thoughts and emotions, your own stuff. But when you go into the building that is the 4th, this is where you start sharing energy with other people. So at the time this book was written, half the people were 1 foot in their 3rd building and 1 foot in their 4th. So they were feeling the emotions and feelings of other people around them, thinking they were still in their 3rd, the building with the 3 on it. There could now be another building with a 5 on it, meaning the 5th dimensional, which would be me, Christ. So that's the Christ building, whereby when you're in your Christ self, your forgiveness, self-compassion, faith, hope, you get into that piece of you, or your higher self, your I am. You can't be affected by your old thoughts, your old emotions, your old feelings, your past, which is all stored in the building with the 3. You can't be affected by all the snowflakes of everyone else around you in the 4, which would be the astral plane, the imaginary world, the dream world, the spirit world. But in that building with the 5 on it, that's when people really truly can get into their higher self and can begin to emit the amount of energy they need to emit to raise people up out of the 3 and the 4 and bring them into their 5, building the 5th dimension. So we've talked about the 100th monkey before, getting people, their little marble, out of that 3 and into their 5, but they have to get through the 4 first, and that's where people get all, woo, look, a ghost. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look, I'm going to do a psychic reading on someone. Ooh, look, I can see all this stuff that I never saw before. So all of these people with these abilities have gotten trapped in the astral plane and forgot their whole mission was to get into their soul, to get into their Christ self in the 5th building and just emit forgiveness, compassion, hope, love. And the world is all trapped in their, oh, poor me, in their 3 building, being affected by all their inner child emotions and feelings that are down in the lower floors. And then they're at most, then they're empathic, being affected by everyone else around them with the 4. But we really want this book to set the intention right now that when someone touches and reads this book, that they be pulled into their higher self, which is their soul. The higher self is higher than the soul. The higher self would be the 12-story building with a 5 on it, and the soul kind of moves throughout that and experiences life through all these variations. And there's no negative emotions in that unless they go into fear. And if they go into fear while in that 5th building, guess who they turn into? The Antichrist.
Yeah, Lucifer.
Yep, they turn into Antichrist. So people in a higher, more elated, higher expanded state of consciousness, that watch the news or fall into this fear trap, they're actually doing more harm than they are good. So it's almost like they should say, hey, take me back into my tin can if I'm going to be in fear. Then I'll affect less people, but they can't do that. So that's why we need to share this wisdom with people so they can begin to not feel fear and just know that they're in control of their lives.
Yeah, we have to explain again. This book was written in April of 2016, before the presidential election and long before COVID came
That was
along.
before Trump and everything, huh?
Well, Trump was going to be running as president. I think they nominated him in June of 2016. So he was running, but he wasn't the nominee yet.
Yeah.
When we were doing this.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, he brought in a whole another dimension, the white horse, but we won't get into that. The white the white horse is actually that fifth building.
Wow.
He brought in that.
So he brought the fifth building in.
He brought the fifth building in, yeah. So which means he brought the Christ in, the Antichrist. And depending on whether you're going to be in fear and angry or whether you're going to be in hope and forgiveness and love and compassion. Wow, that's very interesting.
Well, I'm not going to jump into politics.
Yeah, me either, but that's very interesting.
Let's keep this. I mean, I could talk all day long about politics, but I don't even watch.
And it wasn't necessarily him. It was the actual date. Yeah, the energy of when that got brought in. So regardless of who was president, same thing would happen.
Actually, that white energy came in the summer of 2015. So we had already. I think that's when we were getting started, and in fact, I even brought the John book on the Book of Revelation, because we got real curious about that. Because again, we had been told in late 2014 that the white horse energy, was going to come in 8 months, which would have put it in the middle of the summer of July 16. So we were doing this even. Oh no, the white energy had already come out.
But the white energy was flowing through
2015.
The fourth and the third building. The white energy was flowing through it, but we didn't have the capacity to get into it until it looks like 17-ish.
Well, all I know is that the white energy represents peace, prosperity, tranquility, but the side of Lucifer still exists, and they don't want peace and tranquility. So actually emotions, when they should have been peaceful, all of a sudden things got really kind of ugly. But again, that's getting into politics. Let's keep on going on this.
That's getting into my distaste for the media, because they're the ones that triggered the whole thing.
Yeah, the media is totally evil. Totally evil. And whoever's driving the media is
the Antichrist.
Is the Antichrist, absolutely. Yep. And everybody's getting brainwashed right now. And anybody that watches the media, for the most part, is getting brainwashed.
Exactly.
Whether it's for the good or the bad.